What is up, lads? It's CM9 here. Welcome to another Chelsea match review. So Chelsea have just drawn 2-2 away at Leicester at the King Power Stadium. I've just come off from watching the game and... oh dear, I mean, you know what? To be honest with you, given the positions of both teams, I honestly feel this is a fair result. But I think had things have turned out a little bit different, especially in the first half of that game, I felt we could have come away with a win. But, you know, before we start talking about the game, I just want to start off by saying I apologise for the backdrop. There's nothing I can do about that. I mean, the sun right now is out and it's just coming through the blinds and it's making the backdrop look a little bit red tinted. I mean, this is what you get with early kickoffs. I mean, this is what I've got to work with. So, I mean, I've still got my lights. I mean, you can still see me, right? I mean, it doesn't really matter what the actual video looks like as long as you can see me okay. That's not much of a difference. But yeah, I just want to point out, you know, there's nothing I can do with the backdrop. So yeah, let's just talk about the game because this team, I honestly don't. It's just so frustrating to watch. It's just from the fact that we can't take our chances where we need to Lampard making rather questionable decision making in terms of our substitutions, the team selection, a bit of a ballsy team selection, I might add, and we'll get to that in a moment, and just the fact that. I don't know, this team just doesn't have it anymore. We go into games at the moment just not expecting a win. It's just like we just watch the game and we're just hoping and praying that we just get something out of it. Whether it be a draw or even if we do win, it's like, holy God, we've actually got a win. You know, imagine a few seasons ago where we went into games and we were expecting a win most of the time because we had top quality players playing for us. Now it's just like, we just sit there in anticipation, hoping that things just don't go the way of our opposition and then hope somewhere we can get something out of a game. And today was one of those games where things could have turned out differently had we had taken our chances early. But it just goes down to the same old thing of this team just doesn't take our chances. And then later on down the line, we just end up getting the opposition running proceedings. And we've seen this whole thing about opposition getting set pieces outside the box. And we just sit there and we're thinking, God, please don't let this go in. Please don't let this go in. We are just sitting there thinking, don't go in. For the sake of our health, just get the ball out. Just get the ball out. We are not the same team we were. Let's just get this. How are we fourth? I'll tell you why we're fourth. The only reason why we're fourth is because the teams below us are having the exact same effect. They're not taking their chances. They're dropping points where they need points. And we're just somehow fourth. Don't ask me why. Don't ask me why. Like I said earlier, the result reflects on the fact that we're fourth and Leicester are third. And I think it's a pretty fair result given the circumstances. Now, let's just chat about the goals. The first half, I'm not even going to talk about the first half because it was boring. It was just all a case of every single time we go forward, we just scuff our chance. Every time we get a free kick, we waste it. Every time we get a set piece, we waste it. Every time we get a corner kick, we waste it. Now, there's two players in the first half that actually did something. That's not saying much, but they did something. Callum Hudson-Odoi and Reece James. Reece James had an impeccable first half because he was, like he's been doing a couple of games prior to this, and today's no different, fizzing in the crosses. Actually tackling, actually getting the ball into the box and hoping somebody gets on the end of it. And it goes back to the problem we've got. Nobody actually gets on the end of a cross and puts the ball in. Just like Arsenal, just like Newcastle, just like every other game before that. When is this going to stop? When are we just going to stop relying or just hoping that somebody's going to get on the end of a cross and head the ball into the net or do something with it? It was just all a case of us getting the ball and just hesitating. Oh, what are we going to do? Are we going to get it in or are we going to shoot it? Mason Mount had problems. Tammy Abraham had problems. Callum Hudson-Odoi had problems. Everyone was hesitating. And this is so easy for our opposition to just block the ball and get the ball away. First half, in a nutshell. Second half was a completely different story though. The second half was a little bit open. Thankfully, the second half started in the first minute of the game, we get a corner kick and Antonio Rudiger. He didn't have the best first half because in that first half it was almost as if we were making mistakes, seeming that we were completely under pressure. This is what this team lacks in terms of pressure. We don't know what to do when we're under pressure. When we are under pressure and the opposition is trying to counter-attack us, we're making mistakes. We're falling on our arses and we're not knowing what to do. However, I would like to pinpoint a certain player on the pitch that Lampard started today, and I tell you what, it was a bit of a ballsy move, but, you know, the fact that the player that was dropped needed to be dropped, and I said in previous videos that he did need to be dropped, and that's Caballero in goal. Now, Caballero, I would just like to say, he cost us absolutely nothing. He's 38 years old. He only plays in FA Cup games, and I think this was his first league game today. He got put in. The first thing he did was make a save under pressure. If that was Kepa, I think it was Jamie Vardy, because it led to a mistake from one of our defenders. I think it was either Rudiger or Christensen, but it led to a mistake, and Jamie Vardy, all he had to do was just tuck the ball into the bottom corner. But Caballero actually, under pressure, he made the save. If that was Kepa in goal, that would have gone straight in the net. That would have gone straight in the net. Credit to Caballero for making that save. Yeah, anyway, let's just fast forward to the second half. Rudiger heads the ball in, 1-0. The equaliser for Leicester, I think it was 7 minutes later, I think Leicester equalised. It was, I don't know what you could say about Caballero. There was nothing Caballero could do with that. It was a wicked deflection off one of our defenders. Harvey Barnes was found perfectly by Leicester from the left-hand side. Reece James, I don't know what the hell he's doing. He's completely ghost. He's a complete ghost. Harvey Barnes gets the ball. He cuts inside. He takes a shot. The ball deflects off one of our defenders. Well, Caballero, he's got nothing. He doesn't know what to do with it. The ball just goes past him and into the net. The second goal, what the hell are we doing? Okay, I'll tell you right. There's a miscommunication between the goalkeeper and the defence. Caballero gets forced out. He gets drawn towards what's happening at one side of the pitch. The ball gets put over to the other end. There's Chilwell. All he has to do is just tap the ball into an empty net. There's a lack of communication between the goalkeeper and the defence. I don't know what is going on there, but it just led to that. But thankfully, we've got Antonio Rudiger at the other end to equalise with a pretty damn good header, I might add. It was another corner kick, and Rudiger, how he manages to head the ball, lob the ball over the keeper, and put it into the net. How he was able to do that, I don't know, but I'll take it. I'll take it against a team in third place. But yeah, anyway, at 2-2, you're thinking, okay, we need to get a goal now. And given the circumstances that we were under, and we're going to talk about the board a little bit later because there's a lot to be said. And Frank Lampard's substitutions kind of goes in hand with the frustration that us fans have been having on the fact that the board did absolutely nothing in the transfer window. Now, Frank Lampard's substitutions, we need to list them off. So, Kovacic comes on for Jorginho. Don't ask me why. It should have been Mason Mount, because Mason Mount had an absolutely abysmal game. I don't know what Mason Mount was doing today, but he really needed to come off at some point. How he lasted 90 minutes, God knows. But Jorginho came off for Kovacic. Kovacic, on the strength of the fact that he only came on, he was only on for like 20 minutes. He should have played the entire game, because today he had an absolute... It was fantastic. Absolute baller. I don't care what anyone says. Kovacic is an absolute baller and he should have started. So yeah, Kovacic on for Jorginho. Pedro coming off for, I do believe it was, who was it? It was Willian. So Willian came off for Pedro. So pretty much of a like-for-like change. Tammy Abraham for Barkley. And Willian ends up playing the remainder of the game as a false nine. Now, this change is a pure testament of what Lampard has available to him. I don't know if that was an act of, what the hell are you doing, Lampard, having Willian as a false nine for the remainder of the game when it's 2-2 and we need to get a goal, or whether it's a clear message to the board. I think this is a clear message to the board. Because when you think about it, we should have gone in for a striker. We were us Chelsea fans were desperate to get a striker in. Lampard demanded the board to get a striker. We didn't get it. We were linked with Cavani, we were linked with Jovic, we were linked with Dries Mertens from Napoli, and they all got rejected. Now, imagine if we had any of those strikers, Piatek from Milan, imagine if we had all of those strikers available when the transfer window was open. If we'd have got four of those guys and we played them against Leicester, we would have won. But no, Barkley has to come on for Tammy Abraham because Tammy Abraham has some kind of injury. And, well, Tammy Abraham is having to be forced to play through the injury. And then Barkley comes on and then Willian has to play false 9. And, well, we could have had Giroud on, but because Giroud was under a massive scrutiny of whether he was going to be leaving us or not. But then Giroud ends up staying. He's pissed off about it. He ends up not playing or even being on the subs bench. It's a complete mess. Like, there's so much things talking about this. And this is a complete directive to the board. Why did you not sign a striker in the January transfer window when us Chelsea fans were begging you to get a striker in? Nah, we're not going to do that. We're just going to sit on our asses and do nothing. The only reason why Lampard is making this substitution is because this is what he has available. It's because the board doesn't bother. We have no direction at this club. We haven't got anything. What is Marina Granovska's job? Is it to just do her nails or something? Or is it, sorry, I forgot. Oh, is the transfer window shut? Do you know what I mean? This club has no direction. It really doesn't. And I'll tell you something. If we had made the right decisions in signing a striker, I don't even care. Get Peter Crouch in. I don't care. Get a striker in. Get us an option. Do you know what I mean? I don't care if we get bloody Drogba out of retirement. It's a option. But no, we don't use that option and we do nothing. And we have Lampard making changes like this. What's the point in overturning a transfer ban if you're not going to bloody use the bloody transfer market? It's baffling. What is this football club? What is it? Somebody tell me, what is its direction? What is anything? How are we fourth? I'll tell you what, the only reason why we're fourth is because the teams down below us are not getting the results. If teams like Man United and Tottenham and Sheffield United and Wolves were taking their chances at the right moment, we'd be somewhere like 8th or 9th. Or 10th. We'd be where Arsenal are right now. God knows why we're fourth. God knows. Okay, so I'm going to talk about individual players now because I'm done talking about the board. I'm done talking about their stupid decision making. Maybe, if I'm up to it, we might do a video a little bit later talking about the board and why they're not making the decisions and why they seem up their own arse and not doing anything and not directing this club where it should be going. But we need to chat about players individually. So, Willy Caballero in goal. Big gamble by Lampard in starting Caballero and dropping Kepa. But I felt that Caballero did a better job today. It would have done a better job today than Kepa did. Because Kepa is just under fire at the moment. He's just not switched on when it comes to anybody going up. Well, anybody having the ball and then just putting the ball past him in terms of not being in the right frame of mind. But Caballero made the right saves at the right time in the first half to keep it at 0-0 at least. Reece James had a good game, but in the second half, he sort of like went downhill a little bit. Like, Reece James was okay in certain areas, especially in the first half where he was getting the ball. When he was getting the ball, like, he was fantastic with the crosses. Excellent. But dipped in the second half. Christensen and Rudiger was okay. It was an okay centre-back partnership. I was a little bit pissed off that Tomori didn't start, but Antonio Rudiger was questionable in the first half, especially when we were under pressure. But he did get the 2 goals. So I'm going to give him a thumbs up on that. Azpilicueta played at left back. I mean, what other options have you got, really? When you've got Alonso and Emerson not being reliable. And, well, Azpilicueta, he's played left back there before. I thought he did an okay job there. So, fine, I guess. Jorginho had a bad game. Now, I think Jorginho, first half, I thought he was all right. It was good. Second half, a little bit like Reece James, he kind of like dipped in form. Like, there were times where he had the ball and he misplaced it a few times. He wasn't his creative self today. He did get a booking. He did get taken off for Kovacic, who, when he came on, played like he should have started, let's be honest. So, yeah, Kante, he had a good game. Kante had a much better game than in previous games, but it wasn't the best game, but he had a much better game. A much, much better game, especially when he held onto the ball a little bit better. He made tackles. He held onto the ball a lot more than he did. Callum Hudson-Odoi started brilliantly for the first 25 minutes and then he dropped. It was unfortunate for Callum Hudson-Odoi because this is the thing. He starts the first 25 minutes of a game with real promise, and then he goes down a month. Then he just stops. He just runs out of gas. He just runs out of ideas. He runs out of options when he goes forward. When he crosses it, there's just nobody on the end of it. And I guess it's a kind of frustrating thing for Hudson-Odoi. I like his ethic when he goes forward. He just doesn't have that end product. He doesn't. So, first 25 minutes for Hudson-Odoi was okay. Well, it was fantastic, but then he just dropped in form. That was it. Mason Mount is just frustrating. What is a Mason Mount nowadays? Mason Mount is so frustrating to watch. Okay, the first thing I'm going to say about Mason Mount is get him off free kick taking, because he's poor. My mum can take a better free kick than Mason Mount. Every single time he gets a free kick, he wastes it. Every time he gets a free kick, every time he gets a perfect position for a free kick, he just has no idea of finding anyone in the box. He just takes it and he wastes it. Every time. He just does not have a brain. There are players, there are creative players that have a brain. Mason Mount does not have a brain. I don't know if it's because he's being placed in the wrong position. Whether Mason Mount is played on the end, whether Mason Mount is played in the middle, whether he's placed in the centre. He doesn't have a brain. Develop a bloody brain when you have the ball. Know where to pass it. Know that you've got to find the option, find the man. He doesn't do any of that, and it frustrates me. We could have signed somebody creative. Somebody like, I don't know, Christian Eriksen or something like that. But no, the board are so stubborn that they want to keep their money. But, that's the board's problem, not Frank Lampard's, because this is what he demands and he doesn't get it. Pedro was frustrating again. Pedro was taken off for Willian. How Pedro is still at the club, I don't know. He should have been sold in January, to be honest. But Pedro is still a Chelsea player. We just got to give him support. But today, he just offered nothing. He just offered absolutely nothing whatsoever. And Tammy Abraham, well, he had to play through the injury that he sustained. And, well, God only knows how he was able to do it. He got taken off for Ross Barkley. And then Willian had to end up being the false nine. So, I don't know. I really don't know, guys. Today's performance, I think you've got to be honest with yourselves. It's an honest draw, 2-2. But had things have panned out differently in terms of taking our chances in the first half, actually making the most of our free kick taking, our set pieces, I think this would have been a completely different game. But then you can say at the other end, we just don't know how to deal with pressure. We just don't. We just struggle so much. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. It was a bit of a frustrating game today, but the thick and thin of it, because of the fact that Leicester are third and we're fourth, God knows how we're fourth. It's just the luck of the draw. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think of Lampard's decision making, substitutions. Let me know of why the board are so stubborn and not letting Lampard get a striker in. What is the direction of this club? Let me know in the comments below. And yeah, this video has been going on for too long. The editing I'm going to have to do for this is remarkable. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. And until the next video, I shall see you later. Hey door, and peace.